fashion to kick back towards the wing. Fellini! Left now, lines them up. It's coming back. Ox is the biggest man there.
G'day guys, welcome to Red Time. Jared Barker, Mason Cox back for another episode to talk all the latest.
You stopped counting, didn't you? You stopped. It's a good start. You're like 12, 13. We're in the double digits. That's all we know.
Yeah.
We haven't sacked us yet.
People aren't going to realise how bad a start this has been because we're not going to show what happened before the intro. What's going on, bro?
Takes one day.
How are you?
I'm going really well, man. Just cruising. Can't complain. Got the family coming later this week, which is pretty exciting. Got the brothers coming, so always good to see them and hang out with them, which I'm looking forward to.
How long are they down for?
Overall, they're doing about a week, and then the other ones do about 2 weeks and a little bit of overlap.
Yep.
So yeah, it'd be good. They're going to come up to the Gold Coast for that game, which would be cool, and have a few days off after. So just going to chill up with the brothers and show them the Gold Coast. So can't complain.
Okay, well, hopefully it's not as wet in the Gold Coast as it is in Melbourne. Wet weather footy is here, and it's rife. It's fresh outside.
Terrible.
To say
a tornado.
I'm counting down the days until the spring. I'll put it to you that way. I know we're only in June, but God, I cannot wait to get out. I don't handle the cold very well. I know that
you got a few months to go, brother.
I know, but Are you more of a winter or summer?
Summer.
Summer. Yeah, I'd imagine you're a summer guy.
Texas guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Makes
hot quite a bit in Texas. So I think, although I will say the winters aren't as bad as people make them out to be, because in America it snows in most winters, where like here it doesn't. But people
true.
I say this all the time, is people hate the winter here because they know there's other parts of the country that exist that have a fantastic weather all the time.
Yeah, it's FOMO.
That's why.
That's all it is.
It is. It's seriously a massive FOMO from Melbourne.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
And Tassie. Just shout out Tassie.
Oh, but no one.
We've talked down on Tassie.
No one goes to Tassie. I hope they get a football team.
Come on,
I hope they get a football team though.
Yeah, we'll see. Get a stadium first, mate.
Let's go. We're not talking about Tassie this week, which is a change for us, to be honest with you.
Oh, we just blew that.
Let's start with tagging. And before
tagging.
people scoff and go, more tagging chat, I know a lot of people are talking about it. I think it's an overrated discussion too. It's been overdone this week, in my opinion. But we're going to look at this from a different angle. And it's topical because it's your teammate that this conversation has centered around this week. A teammate who happens to be pretty good at footy. A teammate who does cop a lot of attention from opposition teams. But I want you to take us behind the scenes and just tell us what the preparation is like when you know a hard tag is going to come for one of your star players. I mean, is it mentioned in team meetings? Does Fly say, does he give up a contingency plan of, we're expecting Nick to get this tag. This is what you guys need to do as teammates if it does come.
I think it's briefly mentioned because it's an expectation now, realistically. He's too good enough of a player to not have a tag on him. Yeah. And then you kind of think, like, what if he's not tagged? Like, he might be getting like 40 or 50 touches a week. Like, we're now basing Nick Dacos' stats off the fact that we assume that he is being tagged on a weekly basis, which is wild.
He's done it to himself.
You can't play too good too early in your career. Ridiculous. But no, it's one of those things I think whenever we're in, I guess, pre-game meetings and stuff like that, it's mentioned that this is the person that's probably going to go to him to tag him. By no means is like that person's name put up on a whiteboard with a big target around him saying like smash him at every opportunity. But I think it's an expectation that we have as a club now with Nick. And I think there's any opportunity to maybe like bump him off ball in a sense and do something that's legal, not go over the line, but to do something that's legal to be able to inhibit his ability to and like kind of wear him down. We definitely look at that as an opportunity, and it's looking after one of our own more than anything, to be honest with you. Like, because you put yourself in that position where Nick is at the moment, where someone's hanging off you 24/7.
It'd be tough.
Oh, it'd be the most frustrating thing in the world. Like, I don't know how he does it and like just keeps a calm head because, and we'll talk about this later, I'll be pretty much what Dimma did over the weekend, 24/7, just to all the umpires. But he handles it well, and it's a credit to him at such a young age.
So it's not like, you say you got to go after him fairly, but if you notice that he's being targeted, instinctively as a teammate, you got to make life tough for the tagger who's trying to make the life tough of.
Yeah, and you'd be amazed at what Nick does, I think, knowing he's getting tagged to help someone else get open. And be able to kind of use the tag against the opposition. So you can say, like, laying blocks for someone else to be able to get someone else open because that tagger's not going to leave him.
Yeah.
So you essentially take two people to allow one person to get open. We look at vision, and we see that consistently with Nick, who's, you would think someone who's of that caliber, right? Everyone goes, all the attention on him. He gets all the kicks and handballs and all this kind of stuff. But there's so many more things that he does away from the football that we see as a group. And we kind of, I guess, clap his ability to do that in a sense. And I guess the media probably sees that as much as we do, and we like to try to celebrate that, because it's an unselfish act that, is tough for someone who's of that ability and knows how good he is and how damaging he can be to kind of give the baton off to someone else to be able to do that.
Yeah, I feel like players are getting good at that now. When a tag does come, they know they can, go to the goal square and just play one out and see if you can play as a defender, like beat me that way, or go to half back and do things to change it up. But I guess you guys are, as you're saying, well versed in just knowing what to do if a tag.
Yeah, nothing makes me laugh more than Nick Dacos coming into the forward line with one contested mark to his career, just going, oh boy, here we go, put him in the goal square, baby.
Did you guys talk about that when he took the mark?
Oh yeah, I talked to him about it. I'm not sure how many other people did, but I definitely made a mention of it. It's so funny, and it was credit to him. It was a contested mark.
Pretty good mark.
It was pretty. I mean, I've seen better, but it was credit to him for a guy who doesn't take too many in his career. But no, he's usually the guy that's standing right in front of the people trying to contest it mark, picking up the crumbs and kicking the next ball. But who knows? I don't think he'll be going back with the flight anytime soon. But he is playing a little bit more time in the forward half, which is exciting.
I'll leave that going back with the flight to the big boys, I reckon. But from midfielders to forwards, and I think one of the better stories of this season to date has been the emergence of the next crop of star key forwards. So you look at Logan Morris, who's kicked 10 goals in the last 2 weeks. Aaron Cadman's kicked 8. He's broken out in the last couple of weeks. Nate Caddy's always shown glimpses of his mercurial nature, I guess. Sam Darcy, the unicorn that he is and he's going to be. And Riley Thilthorpe, especially at the start of the season with what he was doing the first month of footy, he was one of the better and more damaging players in the competition. The average age of that crop is between 20 and 21. So they're very young. They're performing at a really young age. And you always hear everyone say, taller players and key forwards take longer to really develop and feel their frame physically. But when do you expect these guys to truly hit their peak?
I mean, the biggest thing comes down to experience in games played. So you look at all of these guys on this list, early in their careers, don't get me wrong, but I think once you get to the 50-plus games to 100-plus games that you've played, then you're kind of in that peak where you kind of go, okay, I've played enough AFL level football to know exactly what to expect of me and how to be able to manipulate the system to best suit my characteristics as a player. But I think around that kind of 23 to 28. But I mean, they can go longer. You look at guys that are playing well into their 30s now that are successful. So I mean, I think that's probably putting a cap on that as far as saying that's their best kind of window. But I think you hit that. It's more of a games played, I feel like, than how many years old in that sense. And I think if you're over 100 games played, you really have a good grasp of what the expectation of AFL level is. Yeah. And then you also kind of look at these people who are probably going to be big names. I mean, obviously Sam Darcy, everyone's talked about this guy for, and good reason why. He's a heck of a player, but he's got quite a bit of pressure on him. And he is kind of still in that, not development, I would say. He's probably past what you would consider development. But he's still early in his career where he's going to make mistakes and he's going to, have to learn, I guess, whenever he doesn't live up to the standard or, lives above the standard and try to find that kind of that middle ground to make his experience in his career a bit more, level in that sense. But he's going to be a freak athlete and he's going to be a guy that you just look at and you go, we've got to stop that person first before anyone else. Otherwise, we got no chance.
I mean, he's come back from a knee injury like nothing just
casually.
Happened. It looked like an ACL.
Yeah.
It wasn't, thankfully so. Now he's back just taking the mickey again. So do you think that's the biggest challenge for these guys, though, is trying to continue performing and going through your usual training habits, just keep on trying to improve and trying to deal with the pressure that's going to come with already performing at a young age and having, I guess, expectations from the outside?
There's always going to be expectations. And I mean, I think a lot of that nowadays with players, like the mental side is just as important as the physical side. Yeah. And, we do provide as a players association all these kind of different resources to help out. But you look at it also, you go, okay, yeah, there's the mental pressure, you got to handle all that. But then as a forward, you only as good as the midfield that gives it to you. So if all of a sudden your team goes through a rebuild or you have a bunch of injuries, I look at Nate Caddy and how many injuries they've had, and you look at some of these other guys that are playing at a high level and their team's also playing at a high level, definitely helps them. It's all tides red ships or something. I don't know what it's called. I'll let y'all figure that out at home. But it's one of those things where you are reliant on the people behind you being able to give you the ball. And if you don't have a solid midfield group that's being able to do that, or back group that's stopping them from scoring, then you're only as good as the ability for them to get the ball to you.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the challenge though, right? Is you got to try and find ways to get into the game as well.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being a one-dimensional forward, which might sound harsh, but I mean that's what they're going to improve on as younger players, right?
They might just release the shackles. You look at like Jeremy Cameron. It's like, I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't have a position.
Sit there.
He's in the back, like
starts in the center bounce,
back 50, sitting in the goal square. And then like 10 seconds later, you see him taking a mark in the forward 50 goal square, and you're going, does this guy have a position? Or he just kind of says, stuff it, I'm sure you're gonna get the pill.
Yeah. Hypothetical fun. Who are you most excited about? I guess you just answered it with Sam Darcy. It might be a silly question, but if you had to pick one of these guys for the next 10 years, who are you taking?
I mean, Sam Darcy's probably the go-to, but I love Logan Morris. Like he's just casually kicking bags on weekends, and I don't feel like it's probably getting as much hype. Maybe because it's Brisbane.
He's
I don't know.
Unassuming
They're outside of Melbourne,
he's
but
a smaller key forward. He's only just over 190.
Yeah. You look at that and you're like, okay, he essentially is taking over the goals from what Joe Danaher was doing before, right?
Yeah.
And now that Joe's gone, there's this kind of gap, and he's been able to fill that role.
Yeah.
And him kicking like 5 multiple weeks in a row, I don't know. Like I kind of always looked at him as like a good forward, but like not one that probably would consistently kick 5 goals in a game, But that's what Brisbane's needed. And I mean, you can only look just as far as last weekend with Geelong and how they performed over there at GMHBA Stadium. It's a good sign with them and their forward line. They've found someone to essentially, swap straight into that role.
Yep, he's filled the hole perfectly. Logan Morris, and only 20 years of age, which is crazy, but that's the whole point of this topic. But speaking of young key forwards, Charlie West is going to make his debut
Big Eastie
for the Pies this week. Comes in with a fair bit of hype. He's been dominating in the VFL, kicking bags, kicked 6 on the weekend, including one after the siren. What can we expect of him this week?
Yeah, the man's got good hands. He just
hands.
takes clunks, dude. It's one of those things, you'll have someone just literally hanging off his back like a backpack, and he somehow just sticks out those big-ass mitts and brings it down. It's exciting to play against. Obviously, I've been playing a bit of VFL at the moment, so I've been playing alongside him. And, it's a credit to him. He's had a few chances of maybe playing, I think, versus Fremantle. He was a decent chance and had a little bit of a minor injury, I guess, of some sort, but didn't play. And then, he's been pushing with his form. So it's exciting for him and us as a club to have a debutant for the year and another one. And, credit to him. Kicking 6 in the game and then a game winner, probably peak confidence at that point.
Ice in the veins.
Ice in the veins. And it was exciting. He was real hyped too. Love the photo after the double cobras. Just let it out, big fella.
Looking forward to him.
Man.
And seeing what he can do under the Marvel Stadium roof this week against the Eagles. Moving on, I want to speak to you about Graham Wright's influence at footy club. So he's going to transition into the CEO role at Carlton, taking over from Brian Cook. They're obviously under a spotlight at the moment with their form. Just a little.
Yeah,
if you haven't noticed, it's a little small spotlight on the coach and the club as a whole. He's got a very extensive resume, does Graham Wright, as you know. So list manager and head of recruiting at the Hawks for a long time, became their head of footy. He was the GM of footy at the Pies prior to the Blues role as well, and success has followed him everywhere that he's gone. You were there at the Pies when he was making some changes a few years ago. I think he got there at 2021. He was a part of, obviously, moving on from Buckley and the transition into Craig McRae.
Yeah.
What's it like playing at a club when there is that sort of pressure that's coming onto it from an executive level?
Graham Wright, I mean, I can't speak highly of him. Highly enough of him. He's a no frills kind of guy, just gets it done. And I think he just understands so well with his experience how an efficient football club should be run. And I think that's why he's a very sought after person in the industry, whether it's the AFL, Carlton, us. He had been working, I think, in the industry for over 30 years whenever he took a year off. And coincidentally, that year he took off, all of a sudden we didn't play so well. A few injuries, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Graham Wright was the reason, but, I think having a GM who's confident in the decisions they make and confident that it's going to, be able to put the club in a good position is important, not only for that role up top, but all the different people it trickles down to, because it really kind of starts with those that kind of level of people who are making the contracts for the coaches, for the assistant coaches, for staff, things like that, of what the actual program needs. if you don't have someone who's strong in their ability to make those decisions, it can make very awkward experiences because a lot of these people are on 1 or 2 year contracts. So you can imagine the pressure's on it. If you lose a few games, they start feeling pressure, and that pressure gets pushed on someone else, and then further and further and further down. So whenever you have someone at the helm that kind of says, this is the direction we're going, this is what we're going to do, and has clarity about it, is so important for not just his role, but everyone else who falls underneath that, which is almost everyone at the football club. So hopefully him going into the CEO role helps at Carlton. I know there's always something that's coming out of Carlton. I feel like that's a problem, whether it's the board leaking something or whatever it may be. Carlton fans seem to always be pissed off. But hopefully Graham Wright can steady the ship a bit and help out for the supporters and the club in general.
Could you sense when he was at Collingwood that things were being evaluated? Could you actually sense that as a player?
Yeah, but I think he also had the opportunity to really set up the program how he wanted it, because it was really a stop-start kind of thing whenever you transition from one coach to another. It's a great opportunity to try to reassess, restructure, and kind of look at what the needs are of the group and be able to fulfill those in some aspects. So, it probably was a great opportunity for him to really have a major and massive influence on how it looked for the future. And that was a great opportunity that he did really well in, obviously, with us winning in 2023. And then because of that, we kind of were like, hey, we are super grateful for that. And he asked for his time off. And after 30 years at football clubs, it's it's well deserved. So he went to Europe and took a holiday for about a year, and then decided to go to our arch rivals. so I went to Hawthorn first, and then went to the arch rivals.
Wish him every bit of no success then.
Oh, no, I think you get to a certain point in footy.
You don't mean that.
Yeah, and you get to know people and personalities and stuff. You hope their club goes terribly, but you hope they go well. You
have a son that plays for a club that you don't support. You wish your son well, but you hope that his team loses.
Yeah.
That's what they usually say.
I think that's nice, right? It's a great way to go about it.
He was supposed to, he was being sounded out by the AFL for an executive role to help out Andrew Dillon before Carlton swooped on him and took him in. So obviously being around him at Collingwood and what his involvement was at the club, can you see why he is such a revered figure in the industry?
Yeah, 100%. And the AFL was going through a very similar transition period from Gil McLaughlin to Andrew Dillon. So I think whenever it comes to those transition periods, it's all about experience. And he's had so much of that, and he's had success along the way. He's been a player. He understands both sides of the coin. And I think for anyone that has that kind of experience, it's definitely high valued in the AFL world, and you can easily see him going into an executive role. I don't think that's crazy by any means. And he's proven that his ability to have an influence in a club leads to success, and you do that more times often than not, you're going to be able to kind of work up the corporate ladder.
It's fair to say Carlton needs change. I'm not as doom and gloom on them as other people. We said how pessimistic Carlton fans can be before. They're a very good contest team, very good defensive team. And there's 5 key premiership metrics where 100% of the last 10 premiers have finished in the top 6 in. Yeah. They're in the top 6 for 3 of them. And the 2 that they're not, they're 7th. So they're doing what they should be good at to be a contender really, really well. It's just what their deficiency is. They're the league's worst team at it, which is efficiency going forward and scoring per inside 50. So I don't think you need to sweep the place with a broom. I think you just need to make a couple of tweaks. But we'll wait and see what changes he does make, because there are some changes, but I don't think it needs to be as much as what people are saying.
Do you think they'll make the 8?
I can't say that now, no.
Oh, you have to make a statement here. You have to say yes or no.
I don't make statements. I like to sit in the middle.
Gosh,
I like to see both sides of things. I'm rational. I sit on the fence a bit.
Yeah. Not making fun of us.
No. I'm not going to say that. I think that if they get their act together and they win every game from here, they will make it.
Okay, great.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But
I don't think they're going to make it.
I think you're delusional is what you are.
I think I'm rational. I
don't know about that. We'll go to the next one.
Final buy round, which is awesome.
We're done. We're done with understanding everyone's on the same amount of games.
We're not done yet, because Gold Coast and Essendon have to play that catch-up game later in the year as well. So the ladder's never actually going to look
right
as accurate as it should be.
Yeah.
Only 4 teams left for us to assess. So let's get to our quick hit assessments. This week's buy teams: Brisbane, Essendon, GWS, and Geelong. Kick us off.
Start Brisbane. Huge tick. After the weekend, I think people look at them and go premiership contenders. Beating Geelong at their home ground after the whiteout. We talked about the whiteout last week.
Pass or fail?
I'm going to go pass. till halftime, then
I'm a
absolute tragedy fell. And to be honest with you, after getting smoked like they were at halftime, I think you probably understand where the fans were at. So great idea. Wish it just played out better for not only the wideout, but also Patrick Dangerfield and everyone else involved.
It looked good. It did look good, but when you know what it should look like, when you look at Beaver Stadium and how they can get it looking for Penn State, and I'm comparing it to GMHBA, I can see the difference. So I'm like,
takes buying.
To me, it's a fail, but it does look good. I can see why people would say
yeah.
pass mark.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. But I mean, huge tick for Brisbane to go into enemy territory. He's had one in, they kept saying like 20 years. Like I think they said it about 30 times on broadcast.
First win there since 2003.
Yeah, I didn't need to be told that 60 times in a broadcast, but thank you. I appreciate that. But now credit to Brisbane for going over there doing the job. So big tick for Brisbane for me.
I've gotten written down as contenders despite flaws. So their kicking was really good last week, but the 2 weeks before that, it really deserted them. Their goal kicking accuracy is the reason why they didn't win those previous 2 games against Adelaide and GWS, I believe it was. So tough draw from here, but I think they're still contenders. Bombers.
Man, you have to go X on this. I mean, it's not because of themselves and what they're doing. It's just because of injuries.
It's been hard.
I mean, you can't expect to be winning and be at top of the ladder whenever you have that many injuries. And, you're looking at Goldstein, who's 36, 38, that's playing rock, and Draper's out, who's one of their big time players. It's a tough trot for him. Tough trot as an Essendon fan. But I think most Essendon fans, if you look comparatively to other years in this year, like most Essendon fans are upset, but they're not like pissed off.
Yeah.
Right? They go, okay, we have an out. We have a reason, right? We don't just suck because
they were top 4 at the midway point last year and then just slowly dipped into the finals. But this year, it's like you can't have the expectation because of all these injuries they got, especially in the back line. Mason Redmond, Jordan Ridley, Ben Mackay, Zach Reed, Kyle Langford up forward. The ruck situation, as you said, you can't have expectations for this club. So I think the positive for them is they've been able to blood a lot of youngsters.
Yeah.
So I think watch them in the second half of the year as they get these troops back with an eye on 2026.
Yeah. I think it's a tough one, but you can't tick that. It's an X for injury's sake.
Yeah.
We'll move to the next one. We got GWS. That's a yes.
Huge fan base.
Yeah. Did they get over 10K over the weekend?
Actually, 10.5.
10.5, baby. Let's go.
Against the Suns of all teams as well.
Oh, wow. Hey, they're jumping on, baby. Top 8.
That's
jumping
a
on.
cap there.
Yeah. I've got a tick for GWS inside the 8 at the moment. I feel like they're kind of every year they have this. They have some games they just go, wow, these people aren't going to be beaten. Like, no chance in heck.
They've got the talent to beat anyone on their day.
Yeah, they've had a few injuries, though. I'll give them that. Like, some of their key players have been injured throughout this kind of first half. But if they can have a run of the right people being healthy at the right times at the end of the year, they're one of those teams that can just win it all and have an incredible amount of damage in finals. But we'll wait and see kind of how that pans out. I'm not really sure. But at the moment where they sit, seventh on the ladder. You got to be pretty happy with that.
They should be making finals, but they're one of those 9 teams that are in a real logjam. And there's going to be a very good team that won't play finals this year.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the fixtures. It's like teams could win 14 games and not make it this year.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, dangerous team.
Dangerous team, but just have to consistently do it at the back end of the year.
Correct.
We'll go
Catters.
The Catters, golly, a tough loss over the weekend. I think they'd be just as filthy on themselves too, just because absolute legend of the club, playing that many games and not being able to get the win at home after I think everyone, including yourself, expected them to win without a doubt.
Everyone tipped them.
I had a little question mark around them. Just because I like to have a bit of controversy. But
I'm the person in Australia who tipped Geelong last week, am
I? No, I wouldn't say so. But
I didn't think so.
I think overall, you look at their first half, massive tick. And it's a credit to them to be able to keep being good year after year.
Yeah.
We talk about it every single time. Somehow Geelong's in the top 8. They never jump out of the top 8, always making finals. And they have a way of being able to see off the people who have been able to make their club such a successful club over a long period of time and being able to retire them in the way they want to in an incredible way, and then also be able to blood talent along the way. Yeah. It's a credit to them. Whoever's the GM over there, I'm not really sure who it is, but he's going really well. And, Geelong's always been a threat for so long.
Top 2. Lock it in.
Top 2.
Top 2, lock it in. I said this.
Do you have them as the favourite?
My grand final at this stage of the season is Geelong and Adelaide. but the only team that
I'm sitting right here.
I haven't finished yet. The only
sorry,
that can trump them is the Pies.
Yep.
At this stage, I just have Collingwood finishing third. So home qualifying finals, home. If Collingwood get either of them into qualifying, they can win, but you just stick with the home teams.
Yeah. I love the use of Trump there.
Very on top. Final segment.
Let's get it.
Don't be surprised if I feel like I've said something along these lines a few times this year, but don't be surprised if we haven't seen the last middle finger lifted in the AFL this season. Bailey Smith twice, Harley Reid, Marby Orchard, they've all copped their whack already, and now Dimma's been fined $2,000 for flipping the bird after an umpire call he wasn't happy with late in the game against the Giants. Funnily enough, it wasn't actually shown on the broadcast. It was just played to him with his guest appearance on one of the weekly programs on Fox. And now the AFL's come out and fined him $2,000, which I think they have to, because you're finding the players, you've got to find the coaches as well. But are you happy with this being a fine?
No.
Do you reckon middle fingers should be fined in general?
What are you going to do? Like, stick a camera on him and walk around the stadium?
There's cameras
and
in the
make
coach's
sure that,
box.
I get there's cameras in the coach's box, but, like, there's a lot of things that go on that aren't caught on camera.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and you can't tell. Like, I mean, the kind of language that gets thrown around and everything else, it's like, oh, you're going to all of a sudden go back and listen to all the audio and make sure that you find every single person that uses a profanity in a game.
I'm with
it's
you.
like, come on, really? If it doesn't make TV, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he should do it, but he gets caught up in the emotion, frustrated, loss, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But if it doesn't make the TV, then, like, no one knows it happened.
Yeah.
Then, like, why are we punishing? Why are we, first of all, Fox, why are we bringing that up? Why don't we just say it that, like, you must have been frustrated? Why did you have to show the vision of him giving the bird? Like,
it's good vision.
I'm sure it's great vision, because it's like, it's such Dimma. He'd be, that's just how he is, and I respect it. But I don't really think it's the end of the world. I get, like, we're role models, and you don't want to be giving the bird to everyone in the streets, but
the world keeps going round after he does it.
I don't think the world's going to be that much worse off for him not getting called out by Fox Footy and being shown the vision, and the AFL, and then retrospectively having to go back and do it.
Yep.
It's like, what do you think? The AFL is going to go look at all the Fox Footy visions from the 20 cameras they have to make sure that everyone's listening to them?
We don't know that they don't.
Holy dude. If it is, there's a lot of stuff that should be changed there.
The thing is, for me, it was actually the right call by the umpire as well. Because Jake Stringer torped the ball from the centre to the forward line, and it trickled out of bounds. So Dimma wanted an insufficient intent free kick to be paid for the Suns, but it bounced at right angles. There was a contest there. I'm actually pretty happy that it was called a throw-in. So I don't even think he should have been upset in the first place. But I get it. I'm not a coach. I don't understand the frustrations.
Spend a week doing the dissection of a team and then have to lose on the weekend like that. Might have a different experience.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's I don't want to say openly, but, like, I've given the bird a few times. Not gonna lie.
Find the vision.
Won't tell you when. Go find it, AFL. Go find the vision at some point in my career. But it was a feedback from the audience. So I decided to give it back to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
what I look at, right? Early in my career, if anyone's wondering. So can't retrospectively find me now, can you? This might be an expensive podcast. Anyway, I'll go with my don't be surprised. Man, I don't know. North's looking good. The big old Kangaroos looking fantastic at the moment.
How's the form line?
Oh, they are. We went through this. In the last 8, they've won 3, lost 3, and had a draw versus Brisbane, and then got spanked by us. But that's a pretty good for a team that everyone expects every year to be at the bottom of the ladder.
There's some close losses in there. That's the thing. They're
at least showing signs. Like, I think everyone for 5 years have been just like, oh, we're just going to write off North Melbourne to be 18th and get the wooden spoon every year. But they're actually, they're competitive now, and they've been able to scalp a few teams, and tying Brisbane is pretty wild. Like, I still look back to that, and I'm like,
I think it was down in Tassie.
Like, did they really tie Brisbane?
Yeah.
Anyway, they got Hawthorn this week. I'm just going to throw, because I love a bit of controversy, I'm going to throw a little North win.
On the
little
fence,
W
making
over
the
Hawthorn.
big calls. So North will win.
It's back in Tassie. I know Hawthorn's a Tassie team too, but they're back in Tassie. They tied Brisbane down in Tassie. They're going to play out in Tassie again. And who knows? Maybe North is the best Tasmanian team at the moment. Some might say they should just be called the Tasmanian team.
Or what? merge him with the Hawks and send him in, just keep him in Tassie?
Just gonna leave that one there for you, Jared. Oh, JB, I don't know. Some people, like, there's some American athletes that play AFL that thinks North should just be called the Tasmanian Tigers.
I don't know who said it.
I don't know who that is. But anyway, it could be anyone. But that's my don't be surprised this week.
North to beat the Hawks. There you go. Quickly, nearly time to wrap things up. Don't be surprised if Joel Amati kicks a bag this week. He's been hammered in the media all this week. He kicked 0 goals 6 on the weekend. That's not the best return for a key forward who had a lot of looks on goal. It was the lowest rated game of all time by Champion Data since they've been keeping the AFL ratings numbers. Yeah. I just think he'll want to prove a point this week, so he'll be hitting the scoreboard. I reckon that's a safe bet. Gamble responsibly. Don't actually gamble, but it's a safe. Yeah, he'll kick some goals this week.
You can do the little closed caption at the bottom. No, I think that I'm a big Joel Marty guy. I love that, man. He's just
the biggest thing is he had the opportunity to kick goals.
Yeah, so he's definitely. I mean, he's just got to be able to finish. And sometimes you have the yips for a game. Then next thing you know, you kick 10 the next week.
We kicked 9. He kicked 9 last year against the Crows.
Ooh,
yeah.
Now we're talking.
Now we kick 0. Yeah, well, he can kick back.
He can kick it back. I think this week. I agree with you. I think this week he's a chance of doing that.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Do you have anything else?
No, I was going to give some trash for essentially the Geelong thing,
we spoke about that.
We talked about that earlier, but I'll throw one out there. I think we're looking at the ladder earlier, and Gold Coast is right at that 9 spot with a game in hand. We talked about that as in game. So, I think it's going to come down to
the last game.
The
catch-up game.
There's going to be so much attention, I feel like, for that 4 spots for like the last 2.
Yeah.
So like there's 4 teams from 6 to 10. I think those teams are all going to be playing on the last like Saturday and Sunday of the season, and it's going to be to essentially make finals.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to know until like the very last second, I feel like, which is exciting. It's great for the AFL.
I really wish the AFL had like a Premier League situation where the very last round, every single match is played at the exact same time. So no one knows what's happened in the other games. You just got to go out there and win.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Absolute
chaos.
Absolute chaos.
It'd be great.
Hey, what's the party like at the AFL house if Gold Coast makes the finals? First time.
They'll be celebrating.
You reckon they'll be celebrating?
Yeah, a couple of vinos opened. And,
vinos?
Yeah.
A bit of champers, you reckon?
I think they'll be okay.
Drink responsibly.
Yeah, of course. No Giants crowd watch this week because they do have a bye, but we'll bring that back next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under 10,000 this week.
You're just gonna do that
Why not?
Entire season. We'll leave it there. Stay warm at training, mate.
I'll try my best, mate. Try to stay out of the tornado.
Absolutely. So will I, to be honest. Thank you for listening or watching this week. Enjoy the footy. Speak to you next time.